Okay, welcome back, everybody. Hello. Hi, sis.
Hi. Good morning, everyone.
Morning, everybody. We're on lesson 65, entitled, My Only Function is the One God Gave Me. Do you want to read?
No.
Okay. No problem. Happy to.
I'm going to let you read.
In the ring. Okay. The idea for today reaffirms your commitment to salvation. It also reminds you that you have no other function but this. Both of these thoughts are obviously necessary for a total commitment. Salvation cannot be the only purpose you hold while you still cherish others. The full acceptance of salvation as your only function necessarily entails two phases: the recognition of salvation as your function and the relinquishment of all the other goals you have invented for yourself.
Can we stop there?
Yes.
Thank you. I remember when I first did this, 250 years ago, this lesson, right?
Uh-huh.
I do remember being confused, and this is embarrassing to the ego, but who gives a damn?
That's right.
Being confused about salvation, because it was a word that made me cringe, to be honest. And because in my mind, I really equated salvation with sacrifice.
With sacrifice?
Yes, and pain,
Yes.
and loss, and deprivation.
All the theological connections, right, from old religion.
I didn't have any religion in this lifetime, so
Wow.
maybe some old stuff from previous life dreams,
Sure.
Whatever. But that word really frightened the out of me, right? So I remember coming into this word with these lessons and not really being able to understand particularly these ones, 65 to 69, I think, these lessons. And I'm just wondering if there might be some viewers who also might be or might have a similar confusion to the one I used to have. So can we just stop here for a second just to remind everyone what salvation is and how it is inextricably entwined with forgiveness?
Mm-hmm.
Is that, you good with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is salvation?
And I'm just doing this little note about interchangeability. Salvation is our happiness. It's the memory of what we are in truth. It's the peace of God. And our function here is the forgiveness that brings us that state, that remembrance or the awareness.
Okay. So would you agree then that it's salvation and forgiveness are the same thing?
Yes.
Okay. And that it's through forgiving ourselves for having chosen the ego filter to perceive all our relationships through, and the body and its state, and the world, right? And the past. Gosh, right. There's a lot to look through, right? Everything in the gap, yeah?
Yes.
That's it.
If this is the status of our salvation, the peace of God, right? And how it says peace of God is forgiveness. Mm-hmm. Well, we reach that state by forgiving everything in the gap. And Nouk was just listing off a few of those, right? These are the idols that we had previously. And so this is what we say we want, and forgiveness is the way to that. So that's our only function. That's the only thing we can do of any value. Only time we touch reality is through our function, which is the forgiveness of the gap, the bodies in it, all the stories, and the forgiveness of a split mind with the personal will or agenda. and to come back into union with our brothers, our holy self, and God.
Okay, so it's in that, it's in our active participation in salvation as forgiveness that we are reminded, or it's returned to our awareness, is our changelessness, meaning our changeless holiness, which is our incorruptibility, even here while we're in the dream of a body in a world, right?
That's right.
Yep. Okay, good. I wished I'd had that clarity.
Well, it isn't amazing. The world sets us off with so many, he says the goals that you have made for yourself. And there's billions of goals out there and everybody's pursuing one. And while we're pursuing anything for the benefit, or the betterment of mythical me or defending mythical me, it's all happening in the space-time gap. And we've already, spoken at length that there is nothing in this that's true. It's happening in an illusion. This gap is not real in the allness of God. And so all that, the goals, the seeking, the striving, the setting bars that we want to reach in this life and that others, applaud us for, who are they applauding? Mythical me. The only function we can have, the only thing that we can do that's truly helpful is forgive the belief in the separation and all the ways that we invested in the separation to come back to truth and allow reality to be our experience. And we can hold that experience here in the dream, and we do so to help our brothers. That's the only thing we can do.
So with the whole idea of a false self, with its, or mythical me, with its private thoughts and its separate self-seeking agendas, while we're trying to get something to shore that identity up, we're not going to want to practice quantum forgiveness, right? We're not going to want to transcend the mythical me's self-interests.
That's right.
Because it'll be a direct threat to the isolated, false self-concept.
Right. So while you still think that there's a carrot to be gotten or a payoff or something to achieve that will make you happy in lieu of your true happiness, which is, the knowledge of your relationship to God, we'll be very highly resistant to these. But it's really when we exhaust the gap, and we know that everything, it's usually only till that time, right? It was for me, when you check all the boxes off and recognize, well, I achieved what I thought would make me happy and I'm still miserable, so that wasn't it. I only pray that some people might find that sooner than later, even in the dream, that they would just not want to pursue all of that.
Saves a lot of pain, a lot of heartbreak.
Yes, a lot of disappointment.
Yeah. Thank you, sis.
Thank you. Okay, so returning, we're about halfway through paragraph 2. I'll start at the top again. The full acceptance of salvation as your only function necessarily entails 2 phases. 1, the recognition of salvation as your function, and the other, the relinquishment of all the other goals you have invented for yourself. This is the only way in which you can take your rightful place among the saviors of the world. This is the only way in which you can say and mean, my only function is the one God gave me. This is the only way in which you can find peace of mind. Wow.
Oh, wow. I've just got that, having a look at the, and I know, of course, we all have to go through this, but everything in the middle of the gap diagram, yeah?
Yes.
How many times? Thousands of times, particularly earlier on before the course, I really believed that pursuing those things in the gap would give me the peace I wanted.
Right.
And it says here, no.
And if you think about it, our mind come back just to the symbol, one of these, that's your mind right now. While you think you're mythical me, that's the status of your mind. That mind is split right down the middle. And remember what that split represents. Half your mind is filled with God. God is in your mind. So you know the truth, it is there. The mind, you share the mind of God. But the other half is an ego thought system. And every thought that it holds is the 180-degree opposite of what God is declaring. So your mind is in a state of complete, utter opposites. And the stress of that, right? And the battle that goes on in the mind, while sometimes we identify with holy self and then there's a pull back to ego. I remember, the contrast began, it felt like I was being body slammed, so you'll never, ever, ever find peace. The only way to come to peace is to heal that split. So it is the forgiveness of the entire gap, but it's healing that part of your mind. And you could only do that in the holy relationship where two or more are agreeing to undo that goal of separation and accept the unified goal of, innocence and union, oneness. So that's peace of mind. A split mind is at war in itself. It's a declaration of war. No peace there is the point. Yeah.
And we speak from experience.
Oh yeah. Yes. So this is the only way in which you can find peace of mind. That's big. Today and for a number of days to follow. This is the first time he's doing that, isn't it? Set aside 10 to 15 minutes during the day for a more sustained practice period in which you try to understand and accept what today's idea really means. Today's idea, offers you escape from all your perceived difficulties. It places the key to the door to peace, which you have closed upon yourself, in your own hand. It gives you the answer to all the searching you have done since time began. Try, if possible, to undertake the daily extended practice periods at approximately the same time each day. Try also to determine this time today in advance, and then adhere to it as closely as possible. The purpose of this is to arrange your day so that you have set a time for God, as well as for all the trivial purposes and goals you will pursue. Wow, do you think he knows us? This is part of the long-range disciplinary training which your mind needs, so that the Holy Spirit can use it consistently for the purpose he shares with you. So we're introducing discipline and mind training and setting a same time each day. For this practice period, begin by reviewing the idea for today. My only function is the one God gave me. Then close your eyes and repeat it to yourself again, and watch your mind carefully to catch whatever thoughts cross it. At first, make no attempt to concentrate only on thoughts related to today's idea. Rather, try to uncover each one that arises to interfere with it. Note each one as it comes to you with as little involvement or concern as possible, dismissing each one by telling yourself, this thought represents a goal which is preventing me from accepting my only function. After a while, interfering thoughts will become harder to find. Try, however, to continue a minute or so longer, attempting to catch a few of the idle thoughts which slipped past your attention before. But do not strain or make undue effort in doing this. Then tell yourself, on this clean slate, let my true function be written for me. You need not use these exact words, but try to get a sense of being willing to have your illusions of purpose be replaced by truth. Finally, repeat the idea for today once more. My only function is the one God gave me. and devote the rest of the practice period to trying to focus on its importance, the relief its acceptance will bring to you by resolving your conflicts once and for all, and the extent to which you really want salvation in spite of your own foolish notions to the contrary. In the shorter practice periods, which should be undertaken at least once an hour, use this form in applying today's idea. My only function is the one God gave me. I want no other, and I have no other. Sometimes close your eyes as you practice, and sometimes keep them open and look about you. It is what you see now that will be totally changed when you accept today's idea completely.
Sis, can I ask you, I'm just inspired.
Mm-hmm.
Those that want to take this particular lesson a bit deeper,
Yes.
which is strongly encouraged, I'd like to introduce something, but before I do, can you screen share the gap diagram for us?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay. Now let me just see here. See if I can do something over here. Okay. All right. Those, the list that's in the gap, mm-hmm. that are there to support the illusion of the body, of the greatest idol, the body identity, right?
Yes.
As a separate body identity, private mind, blah, blah, blah. One great way to really anchor this lesson is to go and have a really good look at the gap. And the gap diagram, of course, you can find it in the description box on YouTube.
List of resources, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. That'll take you to the gap diagram in the on our website, right? Mm-hmm. But one great thing here is to ask which of these goals or idols in the gap do I still cherish? Like with radical self-honesty, and try not to judge yourself for it, okay? And which of these goals for me, do I value over and above forgiveness and learning to transcend my self-interests? Which are they? What are they? Like for me, a big one has been right down the bottom, near the bottom, there's false humility. That's been a really big one for me. That's something that I just couldn't forgive for nearly most of my life, right? Mm-hmm. That one's almost healed now. Mm-hmm. And the second last one, pride, pleasure, and attack. Yeah. Well, pleasure and attack pretty much healed, but pride, there's still pride going on there. Mm-hmm. So, I'm looking at all of these for myself as well, but I can see a lot of them have been healed by my willingness, right? Right. And then which of these idols do we still defend? That's a really good question, right? And we defend them to justify blame, guilt. That's why we defend them, right?
Right.
Okay.
We defend them to keep this going. Anytime we choose or we identify and value any of those and we defend it, we give it a life. Well, what are we really giving life to? The figure that's standing there behind all of this, having feelings and self-justification about any of those items. And then what's really lurking behind the belief that you are that body, right? It's that, the split mind and this body. Well, what's the end result of that? It's the belief in death, overarching ego's drive to kill off the Son of God before he or she awakens. So we think, oh, it's just this little issue. But through this gap diagram, we get to see that as we defend any of it, we're defending the body. And while we defend the body, we're defending the tomb.
Death.
Death.
Right. Yeah. We're defending ourselves to death.
Yes.
Right? Anyway.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that, sis. Thank you for reminding us of that, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, I think
once you've got a list of which ones here that you still invest in and you still defend, which means that you value more than you want to practice forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Take each one of those idols, I call them idols, right? And then say this idol or this thought or belief reflects a goal that is preventing me from accepting my only function.
Oh, that's great.
Not put a guilt trip on us. If there's guilt there, then we know it's the ego that's interpreting it. Mm-hmm. It's just to bring it up to the light, to give Holy Spirit permission. He needs our permission. He can't do anything for us until we say yes. To take the idol, not take it from us, mm-hmm. not go into sacrifice and loss, but to divinely repurpose it. Okay? That's what happens. So it can't come back and bite us on the ass again. Right? Okay, I'm just being honest.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Great. Yeah.
So we offer that up with this thought, idol, belief, goal, whatever, reflects a goal that is preventing me from accepting my only function, forgiveness. And on this clean slate, let my true function be written for me. That's giving him permission to divinely repurpose whatever it is that we've held as sacred over and above our function and our salvation. Thanks, sis.
Yeah, and that's the way we do that first law, or the obstacles to peace, right? The desire to get rid of it. Yeah, these are the things that we would keep going so that we wouldn't come to peace, or we wouldn't be in our function. We won't forgive. Yeah, that's wonderful. What a great practice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stop share. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, there you go. Lesson 65. My only function is the one God gave me. And that's a pretty involved practice with lots of steps there. So take your time and maybe, again, set reminders if that will help you, and to set the same time to practice these. This is good. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, one more thing before you hit stop.
Yeah.
If you find that guilt does come up, if you find self-judgment comes up, if you find hopelessness comes up, or say, just like the word, just a negative confusion, right? Then put that on the list. Just put it on the list.
It's if we're finding like it's too much, or despair, or overwhelm, those two would be the same thing, thoughts in the gap.
We're not responsible through the ego to try to fix those. We give them to Holy Spirit, and we learn to trust that he's going to bring us corrected perception, vertical perception. Yeah. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, sis.
Thank you. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.